Top of the morning to you. Today we're gonna go to a club drive with a little chubby. This chubby just got off the boat, came from Berlin, Germany, not Berlin, Kentucky. So I have a friend in Zwickau, the same place where they made this little car in Germany, who has a daughter. This daughter was born with a butterfly disease. And they told her that, well, told the parents that she's not gonna live more than 3 months, and that was 3 years ago. So they're working on a cure, and one of my friend's friend in Berlin decided to find one of these little chubbies and then bring it to the US and take it around the country. He's planning on driving 4,000 miles with this thing, and then go from here through Route 66, go up to Detroit, all the way to Stanford. And in Stanford, in California, hopefully they can work on a cure, and then he's going to raise money and awareness throughout his journey. So I took it upon myself to receive this car, and then I put Kentucky plates on it, and then he's gonna take it for a drive. But before that, I cured a lot of problems with the car. I fixed a lot of things what was wrong with it when it arrived. So today is gonna be the final test drive, and after that he's coming in a couple of days, and then he's gonna take it for his journey. So I figured it's gonna be a really great time to finally make sure that this car works fine for him. So this car called a Trabant. It was made in East Germany, made out of cotton fiber. All the outer panels, the hood, and the roof, and all the other side panels, and the trunk lid was made out of cotton fiber. They didn't have enough metal in East Germany to make cars out of, so they had a lot of unusable Russian cotton what been dumped on them. So they made car panels out of it. So this car was a very popular car back then. They made it from 61 to 91. When the two Germany united, they were still making them, but that time they put the Volkswagen Polo engine in it. This car right now has a two-stroke, two-cylinder, air-cooled engine. It's they called it the worst car ever. I would disagree. When I was growing up in Hungary, we always had one, or two. My grandparents had to wait just about 5 years to get one. And then when they took delivery, they paid for the next one just to make sure when this one, what they just got, will wore out in 5 years, they would have the new one coming. And then the old one trickled down to my parents, and eventually it trickled down to me. So that's where the connection. I'm running around with these cars for the last, I don't know, at least 35 years now. I'm getting old. So it's a front-wheel drive, independent suspension, and of course it's a two-stroke, which basically they inherited from the pre-war era. The engine somewhat similar to a motorcycle engine, 650 cc, and originally was 26 horsepower, but this engine has a little bit of modifications, like it has a Mikumi carburetor and other stuff, and it's about 30 horsepower. So it's a very happy Trubby actually. They changed the seats to a new aftermarket seat. It's somewhat similar to the originals. And then you can see a very basic dashboard over there. And it has actually a fuel valve, a pitcock valve, that you can close or open just like in a motorcycle, because it has a drop tank. Open the hood for you. You can see the fuel tank over here. And then this big round thing is the air filter. You can see the pipe going down into the carburetor. This chimney looking thing, that's where the heat comes in. And by the way, the heat was always on. I had to adjust it. It's got a really modern battery in it. When it came, it wasn't like that. And you can see there's a new transmission and a new engine in it. You can get it from Zwickau. Also got a pointless ignition. You can see that box there, then you can tell that there's no points in the car. Well, no point in the car. No points in it. Oh yeah, and the fuel gauge is a little stick up there, so you can stick the tank and see how much fuel you got in it. It's not exactly a nice car. That's why I'm thinking it's gonna be perfect for this journey. You don't have to worry about driving it in snow, or sorry, not gonna snow, hopefully, in rain or anything, because I got a couple of these totally restored down to the last bolt, and I really don't want to drive it unless it's not raining. So you can see Katya, the little girl, her picture is on the car here. And then you can follow them using these QR codes. I can try to put it up there and then see if you can read that out. Also, it's in the rear window as well. So I got a friend here from New Jersey. He's a blogger who's taking videos of Hungarians who live in the United States, and then he's gonna come with us on this little drive. The little Trubby is running great. Now we're getting into the city of Lexington, Kentucky that is. There are a lot of older buildings here, which left over from a long time ago, well, relatively speaking. I know I have a lot of European viewers. For you guys, these are new houses, built like maybe 100 or 200 years ago. Not all of them, just most of them. So as we continue on there, you're gonna see a university. This university is special to me because my daughter just got dropped off there a couple days ago, and she's going to Transy, which is a short term for Transylvania University. This is like a 240-year-old university, very small classes, and in the local area, it has a really good name. So we were kind of sad to leave her behind, and now she's gonna have to start her own journey. So we're gonna come up to it very shortly. It's actually on both sides of this main street where we're driving on. So there is some dormitories on the right side and other things on the left side. Is starting here. So on both sides you're gonna see these nice buildings. And then the kids unfortunately have to cross the road, which sometimes can be dangerous because they don't really think about it that this is a real busy intersection or busy road. But they put these signs up here to warn the drivers. So here's one of the main buildings there on the left. I think it's a beautiful place. They have a lot of support, and since they have really small class sizes, I guess all the kids gonna have some special attention given to them. So as we going forward, oh, here's a Saturn. One time, one of my ex-chief pilots gave me a Saturn, and then I finally used it. My dad used it, and then I gave it to my friend in Europe. So that Saturn actually made it to Europe. There's a Saturn Club, which actually probably three cars in there. Yeah, there's a Saturn was a GM brand and very close to an Opel. So it was Opel technology in a GM coat. So now we're heading to a place where we're gonna meet with all our other friends who driving their supercars, and then we're gonna crash them with this two-stroke, two-cylinder, quarter V8 little Trabant. Our club is called the Sterling British Motoring Society. The Sterling part came from the little city called Mount Sterling. That's where the club started, and now it's been expanded. So you don't really actually have to own a British car anymore. So although I own four of them now, so you don't have to own a British car anymore, but you can have any kind of vehicle which you're not driving daily, and then you have a sponsor you help you get into the club. We do a monthly drive and a monthly dinner. I really enjoy being the member of this. So now we got to the parking lot where we meet. Let's look around what kind of other cars people brought. Well, here's a nice Austin Hilly. I do have a couple Austin Hillies, but this one is a late model. Very, very nicely done. And this one is BJ8, I believe. And this is more comfortable than my old BN7 because this one has roll-up windows and it's more creature comfort. It's a lot more of a car than mine. And here's a little Morris Traveler. It's a very cute car with the nice wooden inserts. It's like the carpet on the floor, very super nice interior, right-hand drive. It's a beautiful little car. One time I seen one in Cyprus, and it was dressed as a Shell service vehicle. Then we got Dale's Bentley, and then a couple of E-Type Jaguars. These are the early versions. I like these ones better than the newer versions. They got three windshield wipers. I'm not sure you guys seen that beautiful interior. They're very original cars, very well kept. And in the back, if you look at the rear door, that rear door is actually opens sideways. Very British engineering type. And then here's another one in a white color. I really, really liked these cars when I was a kid, but then since I drove one, it's too small for me. Ooh, look at that Buick over there. We're gonna look at that too. Very pretty, very pretty. Unfortunately, these cars didn't come on the drive with us. I totally understand why. These are way too pretty to being used too much. And when you open the hood, you got to be really careful because they might gonna hit the ground. So usually people put some towels there to make sure they don't hurt the front part. He's a pretty hooped up Volkswagen GTI. That has a very big following in Europe. And then a couple of Jaguars. I believe this one is almost a brand new Jaguar if you look at it. It's really bringing the old Jaguar heritage with it with a very modern technology. I don't know too much about these cars. I know about the older ones. They had a lot of trouble, mostly with electrical gadgetry. I really don't know how the new ones are, but I assume they still good. Basically they just came from the saloon. Here's an older version, which is not all that old. So, I mean, it's still a lot newer than what I was exposed to. So I really know nothing about these cars. It's a very nice interior. And these Jaguars usually survive because people don't use them every day. Now here is a real British car for you. Now if you own one of these, you better know how to fix it, because guaranteed it's always going to need some repairs. And that's how the British car ownership is all about, basically, just to know everything about your car and you know how to fix it. Here's a new Corvette with an ironing board in the back. Yeah, I'm not too much of a Corvette fan, but they are, I guess, they're nice American cars. And here's that beautiful Rolls Royce. I'm not sure why the rear British license plates are on the front, but I guess it's Kentucky. You can put any kind of license plate anywhere you want. This car came out of a long storage, and this is its first drive. It actually made the drive really nicely. A super nice new Mercedes-Benz, a Porsche, and a beautiful Rolls-Royce with the suicide doors, and it's just marvelous the way it looks with that beautiful statue on the front. I don't feel the urge to own one, but the look at it is just a really, really fantastic looking car. This red car is a Saab. They also made airplanes in Sweden. We call them Slabs because they were really slow. Cobra, it's not an original Cobra, it's a kit car, and Bronco. They started to make these Broncos in pastel colors, which I really enjoy looking at. And then a really nice GTO. It's not actually a regular GTO. It's not a driver car. Look at the RPM gauge. It's a totally restored vehicle. In Europe, we kind of laugh at the American restorations from time to time, but this car is actually really nice. So every bolts and nuts and bolts are totally new underneath, and it is a real super nice, correct restoration. And a real nice Porsche. I think there was a movie what this kind of car was in it. So that's since then. I think it was in the late 80s and early 90s. I really like to see this car because it brings back a lot of memories. I remember when these cars were just about new. And then here's a real nice new Jaguar again. Looks like it just came from the dealership. I think it's very similar to the other one looking at the interior, and in a beautiful blue color. If you look at the license plate, it says UK on it. It's not the United Kingdom, it's the University of Kentucky. And here's a very special Porsche. I always love to see this thing. It's just, there's so many details on it. If just you look at the wheels, just if you just look at that one little detail, look under the wheel with that gigantic brake disc or rotor, and then this very beautiful caliper, which is all clean. Just incredible, the whole thing, the way it's made, and the whole thing, the way it looks. It's just a gorgeous vehicle. I can see the past in it, but it's also a very modern car. So now we're getting ready for a driver's meeting, and then after that we're gonna embark on a drive. Well, I still have some few more cars here. There's a BMW convertible and then another Porsche, and then there's like endless cars, endless beautiful cars to look at here. So I always like to walk around in the parking lot and just look at these things. And there are two sister cars. This one is a Miata, and the next one is a Fiat, because that Fiat was actually made in Hiroshima. I have one of these in a red color. This one was actually a practical race car when the owner bought it, and then he had to tune it down, change the exhaust on it to be drivable on the streets. Here's a Lotus. This Lotus has some incredible good sound when it passes me. It's not necessarily all that super fast, but it's very reasonably sized. It's not all that big of a car. It's very agile. And you can see the nice Lotus sign on the steering wheel, and this is how it looks inside. And if you really want to have a car in America, you must have a cup holder. I guess it's an aftermarket accessory, but it's at the right spot. So this is actually a real true British car. Very few cars actually made in England now, so that's really nice to see. Another Mercedes. And then let's go over there. Ooh, there is a Ferrari. You know, you never know what you see here. Every time you walk past some cars, and then you see another beauty. So yeah, here's a Ferrari. I believe this one came from Florida not too long ago. And it's got that really interesting way of closing the top. So I guess if you have one little micro switch disagrees, then you're not going to open or close the top anymore. But everything works fine on this car for now. And here is this Buick. Looks like a Wildcat maybe. Very nicely done. I wish he would have came to the drive with us. It's really beautiful to see this thing. I had several Buicks. I still have a 56 Buick wagon, which is in really sad shape, but it's running. This thing is gorgeous inside. Look at that dash, and yeah, I can just imagine going to a high school with this thing. Or like, yeah, there is an aftermarket AC, but I'm not totally sure it's aftermarket, but it looks like maybe a dealer installed air conditioner in it. Very, very pretty car. And this is one of the best sounding V12 engines in the club. It's just a gorgeous Aston Martin. And believe it or not, a lady drives it. Hats off. She's awesome. Not very nice car. So going forward, here's a Corvette. Let's look at it a little closer. So this is somewhat of a nice new car. I went to the Corvette museum, and there's so many features in this car that the delivery person was actually showing the new owner how to switch which switch and what does it do. So I guess it's an advanced car. So as this one. This is a hybrid BMW. It's got a small little engine, and then it has electric motors. So I guess you can activate the electric motors and you get a four-wheel drive out of it. But if you just look at it, I mean, it just doesn't even have to go anywhere. Just basically you look at it and look at all those lines and all those features. The way they designed it is just incredible. And off we go. We're trying to keep up with these fast cars with our two cylinders. But since we got 30 horsepower under the hood, we don't have it, not having a hard time keeping up with them. So it's great to see all these cars in front of us. And then I really feel bad for the people behind us because the two-stroke engine is emits some smoke, although the two-stroke oil what I mixed into the fuel is actually scented, so it has a different smell. So some guys actually appreciated the castrol smell what I left behind, but again, I really feel sorry for them who are behind me. The drives usually go through some really nice areas. Like look at this roundabout. I mean, the roundabout is everywhere in England, but yeah, they finally started to do it here too. But yeah, it's not my favorite thing to do, but it's a nice way to connect roads together. Every month we have one club dinner and we have one of these club drives, and always a different member organizes the club drive, and they all organizing lunch which we all pay for, and then we go for this drive together. And then we got a little itinerary, not all that detailed as on a regular rally where you have time measuring. It's basically just a regular drive. It's not a car rally, so to speak, because there is no timing going on, just a casual drive in the countryside. And today is a beautiful day to do that.
It was a teenage wedding and the old folks wished him well. You could see that Pierre did truly love the mademoiselle. And now the young monsieur and madame have rung the chapel bell. C'est la vie, say the old folks, it goes to show you never can tell. They furnished off an apartment with a two-room robot sale. The coolerator was crammed with TV dinners and ginger ale. But when Pierre found work, the little money coming worked out well. C'est la vie, say the old folks, it goes to show you never can tell. They had a hi-fi phone, oh boy, did they let it blast. 700 little records, all rock, rhythm, and jazz. But when the sun went down, the rapid tempo of the music fell. C'est la vie, say the old folks, it goes to show you never can tell. They bought a souped-up jitney, was a cherry red 53, and drove it down to Orleans to celebrate their anniversary. It was there where Pierre was wedded to the lovely mademoiselle. C'est la vie, say the old folks, it goes to show you never can tell.
won my heart. You were a perfect guy, but now that you got me, you wanna leave me behind. Ooh, baby, 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 don't leave me. Oh, please don't leave me all by myself. Ooh, baby, baby.
And now we're gonna crash a small town car show. They actually reserved us a spot on the side where we can just sneak in, look around, and then sneak out and go to have lunch. Cars are still arriving. This is a typical American small town car show, what you guys see here. This is a Model T. I actually have two Model Ts at home, so I know quite a bit about those cars. And then the Model T and the Model A club drove here, and they also are participating in this. First, it was the Model T, and then that was the Model A after that. Once Henry Ford's son Edsel was able to convince his dad that the Model T is not the best car in the world anymore because there is other advanced technologies emerging, like from Chevrolet and from other companies, they decided, okay, fine, let's make a new car, and they closed down the factory for a whole year to retool for the Model A, what you see here. The Model A was a lot more modern car. It actually had a floor shifter, and it was faster, and it was a lot more of a car than the Model T was. But Henry Ford was convinced in his head that there's no better car than the Model T, and there's never will be. So then the Model A came about. There's several different cars coming. You can see between a Model T, Model A, one of these things. It's a total custom job, beautiful colors and everything. The way it's done, it's incredible. We'll look at it later. A Ford Mustang, and then right after that, there's a Porsche at the end of the line too. There is a shed, and you can look at all these other vehicles what people brought out. This looks like a Dodge stake truck. Very nice. It's a high cabin or a engine over cab, I guess that's how you say it maybe. And you look inside, looks very crude. I got a 1946 dump truck as a farm truck for my farm. It looks very similarly very basic, I would say. Looking at the license plate, it's also a 1946, so it's right after the war when they made this Dodge truck. Well, let's go walk around and look at the different things what people brought out. So you can see several of our club members walking around with the other people who came to this car show. Car collecting is a hobby. Some people like to collect newer vehicles, some like older ones, some like to buy some real rusted one and then just make it the way they like it, like this panel wagon, and some like to put crazy colors on it, or just have a new car like this Cadillac. There are several options you can have, or just buy a new Corvette, and that's what basically gives them some recreational activities, or that just makes them feel better, I guess. Or some people will sand off the paint and put clear coat on it, like on this truck. Or these are very entertaining, these signs on it too. And I had 2.5 of these pickup trucks in Texas, but unfortunately I had to sell them when I was moving. So for having old cars, it actually gives you some sort of recreation, helps you with creating some belongings, or just you get tired of work, you just go sit in it and drive around, or you can tinker with them, fix them up a little bit or fix them up a lot. You can actually change the engine, put some other transmission in it. You didn't like the automatic, you can put a manual transmission in. You didn't like the old carbureted engine, you can change it to a fuel injected engine. Or just buy something what you had a matchbox of, like this nice Camaro, and then just make it real, make the same color what that matchbox used to be, or just whatever you desire, basically you can do. These cars have a lot of parts availability in the US, so you can buy anything for Chevys and Fords and pickup trucks. And this one is a very interesting. It's a Buick. It had a turbocharger with a V6 engine. Lucky to us in the United States, the opportunities are endless, and we don't have any safety inspection in Kentucky, so pretty much you can build anything you want, and then as long as you have like a bucket with 4 wheels and an engine on it, you basically are good to go. As long as you have uh, signal lights and then maybe a license plate. But even the license plate, you don't need to put the classic car license plate on your car. You can put any kind of license plate, whatever you want. Like this pickup truck has a Ford engine in it, a Ford tractor engine in it. It said it on the side. Or you get the original Impala. Impalas are really common, or used to be really common. And now to see actually an original one, it's interesting to see because everybody modified them a lot. But you pretty much can do anything what your heart desired. That's the nice thing about it. That's why I really like to live here. As you see, most of the cars here are all American cars, and that's how it is. I mean, if you're on a budget, those are the cheapest ones. Or basically, you always want to see what your neighbor has, and your neighbor will always gonna have a Chevy because this is a Chevy country around here. So if you own a Ford, you're always gonna get teased by your friends that hey, that's not a real car, this and that. And heaven forbid you actually buy a foreign car. Now then, like this one, I guess Herbie came out. The little kid, I guess, can appreciate the Volkswagen. But I had to tell them that it's not only their car is air cooled, and not only their car is from Germany, because there's another car which is air cooled and from Germany, but not from West Germany. My car, what we drove there, was from East Germany. This is another reason I like our little driving society, because if you seen, as you seen this morning, there are all kind of really interesting cars, from the Trabant to the Rolls Royce. Basically, the whole spectrum of interesting cars showed up at the drive. I'm basically messing around with cars since high school, and that was a very long time ago. I seen a lot of cars. I bought my first car for a couple bucks and then fixed it up. It didn't run, and didn't fix it up all the way, just made it work. And then since then, I've been to a lot of classic car shows and seen a lot, but I really like to drive. And I like weird cars like this one. It's a Studebaker. So it's actually a Studebaker Champion. This was not a Chevy, Ford, or a Chrysler. This was basically an independent manufacturer. And you're gonna see a couple of cars from the same manufacturer over here today at that car show. It looks very interesting to me. It's like a 1950s, very round piece. I think it was in the American Graffiti as well. The Corvettes are not really doing much to me, although I really like to see them. I think they are beautiful cars. It's just there are so many of them that I just doesn't raise my interest. Look at the child seat in there. That's pretty cool. This is gorgeous. I mean, yeah, I should look at it. It's really nice to look at it when it's on a car show. To me, it just doesn't really gives me goosebumps, or doesn't really make me excited to get in it, or try to find one and buy one and build it. But this is why I like this hobby, because anybody who wants something, they can have it. They can actually make it. If you want an old truck like this, yeah, just go for it. And then you can drive it around. You can go work with it. This is great, you know. So basically, I really respect what other people like, and if they like that, that's good for them. So I just not that person. I really kind of like a weirdo in this matter, because I like odd stuff. I also really like to have farm machinery like these trucks and tractors and stuff, and that's really makes me excited to see, especially if you can work with it or do something on the farm with it. Recently, these Chevy trucks, they went through the roof. They're getting really expensive. It's really hard to find an unrestored version. Like this looks very close to it, but they put that steering wheel in it to make it different. But yeah, many people from the 80s who was basically were kids in the 80s, they grew up with these trucks, and then there is a connection. So those people now have money, and then they buying these trucks up. Some of them are actually fixing it up or modifying it. And there are some more club members there walking around with the crowd. Now here's a hot rod. The hot rod is a totally different category in the US. Basically, like I told you, as long as you have four wheels, a light, an engine, you're good to go. So the options are endless. There are several companies who selling basically everything for these trucks, and then you can do anything with it. Like there's I don't know what that is on the back seat. Looks like maybe a fuel tank. Then where do you fuel it? So it is always interesting to see what kind of solutions people come up with to a problem. So they usually buy these really rusted off of a field or somewhere, and then they just buy another engine, and then they build a little exhaust system on it. and put a steering rack on it. But all these accessories, those arms and push rods and everything, what this vehicle needs, the front end, the disc brakes for it, the even the down to the original looking tires you can buy. And there's a huge industry basically built around this whole hot rodding. It's all started by the World War II veterans coming back from the war, and then they built all kind of cars just to either got a Harley or bought these hot rods and then modified them, and then they were driving them around. They experienced some terrible things in World War II, and then they still needed the adrenaline rush. So basically, building a car was therapeutical, I guess. This car looks unfinished in the inside, but for the person who owns it, it's most likely it is finished. And if you're talking about a finish, this paint is actually kind of paint what you can draw with a chalk on. So I think it's pretty cool to bring it out to a car show, and you can let the kids actually decorate your truck, or you can draw on it with the chalks, and then after that you can just wash it off for the next car show. I think it looks pretty cool. I guess there are some empty surfaces on this side, but kids could come and draw something on it. And on the front, there's a very traditional basic flame job. This next car is a Rambler. They made these cars all around the world, from Iran to South America. They assembled them everywhere. And then this is also an independent manufacturer. It was not Chevy, not Ford, not Chrysler. And you can see one here. It's not an overly exciting car, but you can see one. That part is exciting, that it's actually survived all these years. And it's a convertible from all. It's a 1961 made by AMC, American Motors Corporation. This next one is an old Ford farm truck. Sometimes it's really hard to rebuild radiators, so that's why people just opt in for the new aluminum core. And looks like the rest of the truck is pretty much original. It's very nice interior, and I would love to drive this thing. It looks great, I think. And looks like they didn't really modify on it too much other than the radiator. And the next one, well, this one is a modified car. First, it doesn't look like it was too much modification. It didn't get too much of a modification, but here's the rumble seat. In the back, you can basically like a trunk, what you can double as a seat. And then as we go into the front, you can see it's got modern technology in it all over. A lot of people came out here, and I think it's pretty exciting to see all these cars. These Chevys are really common to me. Every time I go to a car show, I see at least 3 or 4 of them. So once I see that, it's just really not exciting to me. Although maybe someone grew up with one, so I totally understand why would they have it. Here's a Chrysler product. If you look inside the engine, you can buy anything for it, for all the stickers and correct parts for it. So it's really easy to fix up one of those. So as one of these Chevys, they made the hood open forward a little bit. I don't know why is that better. And then there's a nice Camaro. And as we going through all these American iron, you can see what the old America was able to offer to you. I like this little Honda. Yeah, the Hondas came in, and then they started to sell all kind of cars and motorcycles too. And here's Dale and Eddie. Dale was the president. Dale is the president of our club. There's a Plum Crazy. Plum Crazy was a Chrysler color. I think maybe they still sell some Dodge Chargers in this color. So that's, I guess it's an iconic color. And here's my favorite of all, a 1956 Buick. I have a 56 Buick wagon, and I drove it a lot in the past. I drove my kids home from the hospital, but this one is a larger Buick. I have a special. This one is actually has 4 portholes, not 3 portholes. My special has 3 portholes. This is a Roadmaster, as you see, and it's just beautifully done. It's just really, really a hard car to restore because you can't get any parts for it. You can see the rear is actually wider than the special, and it has different taillights. Mine has a larger chrome bezel. This one has a narrower chrome bezel, and you can see that little extension, the second bumper extension. That's actually more expensive than gold. If you would make it out of gold, that would be cheaper than buying one of those. But I think maybe somebody's remanufacturing them in Australia, I heard. But before, it was just to find one was not dinged and was restorable or totally nice. That was actually really super expensive. And this color is not pink. This color is called a salmon color. And there's another original Pontiac. It's most likely early 40s. It might be a silver streak, but I'm not totally sure. Probably has a six-cylinder engine, and it's most likely a flathead six-cylinder engine. Flathead means that the valves were on the side, so it's like a side valve. Oh, there it is, Pontiac 6, and it's a. I really like that they didn't modify it. It's I'm not sure about the color, but let's look inside how it looks like. Look at that dash. There's some missing parts for the radio, but that's okay. And then the rest of the car is very well together. So it's really rare to see an original car because people always hot rodding them and then they make something out of it, as you probably seen it or will see it in this show, like what the cars end up being. So you can see a nice array of more Chevys. Yes, I said it. This is a Chevy country, and then that's the only one manufacturer people want to buy for some reason. So there's a good market for it. This truck was sanded off, and you can see all the old paint jobs on it, and highly modified with various things. This one is an original engine, and that looks like it's very similar to the Stovebolt 6 what I have in my 46 Chevy truck. It's most likely a little newer generation, and it has the column shifter, so you can see all the old paint jobs, just like a cat. You can see all the cat's dads, the different colors on it. And then you can go the extreme, the other side of extreme, to get everything chromed and everything has to be super nice. And then yeah, you can see that how much money was spent on this car, and you can debate on it. Is it a good thing or not a good thing? So, but as long as the owner likes it, I think that's what's important. If the owner happy with it, that's what it's important. And we can see two more Corvettes. This one has chrome bumpers, which by itself makes it a lot more valuable than the other ones. And a beautiful paint job. I'm not sure about aesthetically how nice that is on a car, but it's cool for sure. And then look at the quality of job what they done on it. I tried to make flames before, and it's not an easy thing to do to make it good. But this one looks great. A little bit extended on the back, but it's still a cool car. And there is the little chubby between all these cars. I guess that's the real oddity. And as we're going forward, there is a Mustang, and then here's this purple, very nicely painted car. In the sun, you can see how much this whole thing sparkles, and you can see the flames on it. So it's. I would not really like to own one, but over here to see it and see it in this beautiful sun, I think it looks really cool. Inside is white. It's probably a total nightmare to clean it. You don't really want to have a white interior. That's just a suicide mission. But the white goes really well with the purple, what's on the outside of this vehicle. Well, you tell me if you like it or not. And then next, we're gonna look at the Model A's and the Model T's. So these ones first, Model A's in various colors. Most of the people like that they can open up the top, but then the heads start burning, so they're gonna close the top. And then, yeah, you see the rumble seat on the back, but none of these cars have modified V8 engines. These are all the good old little four-cylinder engines. They can actually very well keep up with the traffic. I'm not talking about freeway traffic, just on the highways, but these old Model T's, they usually go maybe 40, 45 very comfortably, but they can do that for a very long time. Now here's a cooking accessory what you can install on the exhaust manifold, and you can put various things in it. I have a cookbook which was made for this cooking device, which on the exhaust manifold is crazy. So you can see I have a friend who has one of these cars in Hungary, and he loves that thing. He always goes with it everywhere. So this is a little two-door runabout. This is a little older Model T. You can see it on the end of the fenders. And then this one has an extra transmission lever in it. That's actually a transmission behind the transmission. So you can shorten the drive shaft, and then you can, it's like an accessory what you can add to your Model T. So make it more drivable. It's easier to go up on hills, or you can actually go faster with it. I'm not sure why would you like to do that. There's some original Ford fertilizer. Ford was always big in agriculture. They made a bunch of agriculture equipment, and then also They were making all kind of other odd stuff, but let's not go into that one. This one has an aftermarket radiator. This is a new technology in an old settings, and as you see, the Ford didn't really have a water pump. There was always still there is always a preference between do you want to have an aftermarket water pump or not. But somebody told me that the Model T runs the best when it boils. This thing I don't really understand. I really like the sign on it. The inside is mostly fine, and it's got looks like a Corvette dash, but I'm not totally sure if it's a Corvette. And then the top chop is really, I think, to me, it's kind of ruined the whole appeal on that truck. But I guess it's the if the owner likes it, that's what's important. Nobody cares what I like. But old cars had a really tall inside space, so you can actually sit in with a hat on, and you still can move your head around. So that's why these 1950s cars and the 60s, they were really tall inside. So you can actually work with that distance to top chop them, and then you still can actually, without a real cowboy hat, you can still sit in it and then feel comfortable in it. And here's the old county jail. It's still there. It's very nicely fixed up, and it's part of the. Yeah, it's actually behind the courthouse, so I can see. I can see why is it here. And then here's a nice file. Nice is was in parentheses. It's an old Ford. It's a highly modified Ford, and with a really dual carbureted engine. It's probably we could call it a real hot rod. It's probably super fast. They changed the inside as well, and then you be the judge if you like it or not. But I hope the owner likes it. And then in the end, in the back, you can see a really super nice Coke cooler box. Now that I really like. That I like that part in there. It's about time to say goodbye to all these cars, and we close the hood on the little Chubby, and then let's go. Everybody else is leaving right now, so we're heading over to a very nice golf club, a country club, and then we're gonna have lunch there in their restaurant. I think it's coming up very soon. On our club drives, I really like to see the parking lot. Now this is, I think, to me, it's more exciting than the car show itself because there's always some cool cars showing up. And now, once we parked, we're just gonna go ahead and head inside and then have some lunch. This was a real nice golf course or a country club, and they have this nice facility where we can have lunch. So thank you for watching today, and then next Friday we will continue with something else. See you guys later. Bye.